All right, we are live with Curtis C. and Matt Stueck
Hey,
and
everybody.
everybody. Now, I should say that I have no idea what you're going to talk about.
Well, actually, I'm going to throw it right at you. And actually, I didn't want to tell you what we're going to talk about, just because I wanted to get your perspective clean. No,
Yeah, yeah,
so I wanted to get your thoughts because
I prefer that.
All right. So I wanted to get your thoughts, and I wanted to hear your opinion first before my opinion on the Obama farewell speech. I just wanted to get your take if you had seen it yet, and then I will give you my take.
Okay, so for anybody still coming in, we're building an audience. I have no idea what Matt's going to talk about. I'm basically just providing background cover for Matt's unique thoughts. And so I'm hearing for the first time what his topic is. And one of his topics, I'm assuming, is Obama's farewell, based upon what you're saying. So you just want me to give you my general take.
You can give me your feelings about his, from the beginning. Did you vote for him? His 8 years. I just want your full take as we wrap up the Obama era. Your take, and
sure.
I'll give you my take.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, I did watch it. Of course, it was his big farewell speech. I voted for him, prior. The first time it was largely related for my father. My father passed away, just weeks before his inauguration. And as much of a tip of the hat to my father, because this was a big deal for him, I knew that, he would really want to see this moment and be a part of this history. And I was depressed and sad. So I raced over to the election center, and I had maybe 15 minutes or so before they closed. And I proudly was like, Obama for my father, right? But of course, I took myself out of it. Had I voted for my own personal selfish interests, if you want to call it that, I probably would have gone for Obama. But the reason I say probably is I was totally in my father's voice, and then the re-election and everything else, I supported Obama. He's an expert politician. He's an expert politician, and great communicator, likable guy. But that's separate from, of course, all of his actual policies and the disconnect between what he's done or not done and his presentation. But that is really what the whole political legacy of all these politicians are. And cut me off, Matt, if I get too in the weeds. But we look at like Cory Booker. Here we go. We have another great speaker, well polished. He spoke against Sessions. He did this great dramatic breakaway from the other senators from history and from tradition by voting against one of his own, so to speak. So a lot of people, I don't know if they're Democrats or whatever, are like, wow, he's taking a stand. He's the next thing. But that's presentation. When you look at his bills, there are some troubling issues. For example, making all the news is that he voted against Bernie's prescription plan, or not prescription, but
amendment,
having cheaper medicine imported from Canada. Bernie presented this bill. Booker, with many other, I shouldn't say other, but with other politicians, Republicans, he voted against that. Now, I don't know many people who are opposed to having cheaper medicine coming from Canada, at least from progressives, but you have two competing narratives: the well-polished presentation of Cory Booker versus the actual votes. And I tweeted something about this on my personal page. Essentially, we could do well without politicians speaking on 24-hour news. We could do that. We don't need them speaking 24/7 every single day. We should just have a network, a news network of the votes that they did, the legislative votes that each politician, just scrolling, on the bottom. Who cares what they say? But what they do is far more important. So getting back to Obama's farewell speech, again, I'm a sucker. I'm a sucker for a good emotional moment. So there were emotional moments. Give me a good Disney movie, I'll be there. And so there were very poignant moments. His tip of the hat to Michelle. He got choked up. I actually saw a Fox newscast. I forget her name, but she was like, "These are crocodile tears. He's so fake. He's so phony." To me, I thought that was very partisan. I believe his tears weren't crocodile. I believe that they were sincere, and I just think we get so partisan into all that kind of stuff. But that was a poignant moment. His tip of the hat to his children. He's a great orator. He's a great orator, and it's a poignant end to a legacy of a president who presented a lot of positive ideas. Again, kind of bringing us all home and let you chime in. I think the issue with presentation is that it obfuscates, it buries real world issues, real world votes, real world impact, wars, and everything else that we vehemently oppose Hillary Clinton for, or George Bush. We see a lot of that legacy continued in the Obama era. And you can watch a lot of the live streams that Tatsu has done where he's broken down some of these narratives. Rather than go deeper into that, I'll encourage you to go to that. And I'll end with this, Matt, on the topic. Great speech, emotional speech. It's kind of so what. But I think the issue is, and I mentioned this earlier tonight, I was mentoring a young 15-year-old activist earlier. I just got back so that you could do your live stream. But he's activated at 15 for a lot of different reasons. But I fear what we're really doing is that we're talking amongst ourselves, not just to the choir, but all activists. I don't care if you're a Bernie bro, or if you're a Hill bot, or if you're a Trumper.
I hate those words, but yes.
I know. I use them in quotes because those are the negative interpretations of what each of these groups are. But this activist circle is a very small circle in my mind. You have a greater circle of people who have no idea what's going on. And they're just regular people. I'm not saying they're idiotic. I'm saying they can be smart. It doesn't matter, but they're not activists. And so while we're talking amongst ourselves, sometimes among other progressives, we're not really addressing the lack of information of people. Looks like we lost Matt briefly. He shall return shortly. But we're by preaching to the choir in this activist circle, whether people agree with us or not, we're losing that rare opportunity to expand. I think it would almost be better to ignore every activist, to focus on that larger population of people who are not, activated, who are not energized, who are just, hey, I'm in this particular group, I'm going to vote Democrat. I'm just going to vote Republican. Welcome back, Matt. So I'll end with that. I think there's more we can do in the activist movement. I'm not even saying progressive movement, to talk to all those people who are either apathetic, who could care less, who don't march, who don't rally, who don't do live streams, and say, you know what? There's a lot going on in this world that you have no idea about. Not in a confrontational way, not in a challenging way, but in an informational way. Because by bringing unattached people into the mix, we're getting a more realistic impression of what we're really dealing with out there. And I think that's the challenge. So Matt is having some communication problems. He will return shortly. I think he's coming back now. Let me give me some shout outs. Matt, you're back?
I'm back. Sorry about that. I don't know why we lost connection.
Okay.
I'm not on the train, everybody.
Yeah. Go ahead. I was going to give some shout outs to our viewers, but please, let's hear your take on the Obama.
Yeah, so you said a lot of things that I agree with. So my confession on the Obama side is I'm the same way. I was ready I knew what Obama was, pragmatist, Harvard. You knew what you were getting. I guess I was so emotional against the whole after Bush. I had to go out there. I worked for his campaign, and I have to admit that when he came out to be inaugurated, I bawled myself to I didn't even see because it started crying. I just felt now. Other stories to tell after that. That after I, would go out and talk to my black friends, I'm like, aren't you so excited about Obama getting elected? They'd be like, what? I'm like, they're like, you really think things are going to be different? You really think things are going to change? And I was like, I felt so stupid and so embarrassed. I was like, well, let's give him a chance. So like, really? You really think he's going to make a big difference? I was like, well, it's still really important. So like a lot of my black friends sort of just dismissed me. But on that same note, what I get upset about with people, and I understand you can check Obama and the bombings and everything, but just remember this. They elected Barack Hussein Obama. And the day before we talked about this, Curtis, I followed the Atlantic Black Star, and they put up this video about the states who had top 10 lynchings, which, this is not history that I ever learned. So I'm watching this video. They're giving numbers of people lynched in each state. 1 to 10, I think Texas and are the top. And again, I'm getting all emotional. I'm like, I never knew this. Like this is not history that I searched. And then I'm like, I don't know if I can share this because the images are so harsh, and I'm like, I don't even know what to do with this. But my thing is, I understand the progressive left being on Obama, and I say to you this: when the bombings come and you disagree, you better hit the streets. And you better organize. And like what you said, I get it. I get that he dropped a lot of bombs. Well, I don't see the marches. I don't see the peace marches. I don't see the organizing. And I agree with you that it's the terms, it's the names we call each other. There are so many people, like you said, out there who are apathetic, and like you said, let's go back to Booker, who are apologists. You're going to deal with so many different people. So your skill level, your ability to talk to them in a manner that may not be offensive and reach them, that's what real progressives has to be about, is sort of keeping that conversation alive and sort of saying, yes, hit the streets, and don't be afraid to grab a Republican or an independent or somebody you maybe never thought you'd grab hands with to fight. And that's the difference. And I was so pumped about Real Progressives today and my page because I don't think people are getting away with this crap. I don't think Booker's getting away. I don't think Menendez is getting with it. I don't think the people who voted against are getting away. I think people are making phone calls. And I think it's up to us, again, to fire that person up that goes, I don't know if I want to call. It's like, no.
But
you have to phone.
This is what I was referencing, though. I agree with you wholeheartedly where they're not getting away with it, but only, in my mind, potentially in the activist circle. Like, in our circle, in this activist circle, which I firmly believe is a subset of the larger circle of Americans, is that, we're calling them out. The royal larger group of activists is calling Booker out, saying, your emotional intelligence is huge. As somebody, Pookie Liana, says, agree. Emotional intelligence is wonderful to witness. And yet the activist in the smaller circle is calling him out, saying, what about you voting against not prescription, they got to stop saying that, but having cheaper, inexpensive medicine from Canada? Why would you vote against that? And when you follow the breadcrumbs, and I'm not talking conspiratorial breadcrumbs, I'm talking about when you look at the vote, when you look at the public record of who sponsors him, he's like in the top 5 or top 10, whatever, of money that is sponsoring his campaigns from the pharmaceutical industry. So of course he's going to vote against this. Of course. Now, that's a problem. When something that benefits the vast majority of citizens, there's this corporatist, voting legislative bent on these progressive candidates, people who self-identify as progressive. So that is a problem. So we will call him out in his activist circle, but what about this larger circle? And I'll let you follow up on this, but when I was at the DNC, I was Ubering all over the place. And I coincidentally had two African-American, two black drivers. One was male, one was female. And of course, I had many different drivers, but there were two particularly. One, the male, first of all, never heard of Bernie. Now, again, Philadelphia, during the DNC, one of the most electrifying, wild elections in modern times, with this dynamic between, Bernie and Trump and Hillary and all the Republican candidates that Trump took down, and a lot of attention, huge deal. Never heard of Bernie Sanders. This person is not in our activist circle. This person is, I'm obviously going for the Democrat. I'm obviously going for Hillary without any other input. They're not calling out anybody. They're still on automatic pilot. The second driver was a woman, and she was very well versed on Bernie Sanders and Clinton and Trump. The problem was everything she said. I was so astounded that I started hitting record on my iPhone. And I got it. Maybe I'll do a follow-up on this. I hit record because everything she said about Bernie Sanders, about Hillary Clinton, was Bernie Sanders. So at some point, I just stopped. I go, this is crazy in my mind. And I started playing along. So I start saying, yeah, and Hillary Clinton, she's for a $15 minimum. Yeah, yes, she is. No, she's not. Yeah, everybody is, they're looking at like her religion, and the DNC is against her. The DNC is against her. I'm going, no, in my mind, this is Bernie Sanders that's against her. So these people outside of the activist circle, they're misinformed. They're ignorant in the classic sense, not dumb. They're just not connected. So we are talking amongst activists, and our target audience is really people outside of that circle. Outside of that circle. Did you freeze on me? I think.
But I heard it. Am I still there?
Yeah, you're still there.
Hello. Okay. I'm with you, and I understand your point, and I still believe that it's keeping the door open for all these different groups. And yes, today, Cory Booker, showed his ass, and so did 13 other. Dianne Feinstein also was AWOL on the vote. Completely Democrats were let down. And I understand that we need to educate so many other people, and I don't even like that word, or inform. I get that, but I still believe that we're more engaged and we have the tools like real progressives. This is a different dawning. This is epic. This is a game changer. If we can continue to do what we do and make it, like you said, we try to do it in an entertaining way. We're going to talk all topics. We're going to try to bring in all people, because we care about the sick and the poor and the elderly, right? Can you really imagine someone voting against drugs for sick people? And just to jump real quick, tonight, Paul Ryan got dick punched by this guy who got up at the town hall, who was talking like this, who said, if it wasn't for Obama and he's a Republican, I'd be dead. So again, you can poo-poo the Obamacare didn't go all the way. Yeah, but we got 20 million people done. We need to go single payer. That's on us now. That's on me, you, and everybody else. So you can sit there and cry, like you said, and he didn't do it. Yeah, that's right. The fight is still here, man, and we got to be behind this camera and talk to you. But and it's hard. There's going to be a Bernie rally in Newark where Menendez and Booker are showing up, who voted against the amendment. So it's a constant. this chess game, this constant, what do we do? What's the strategy? But what you don't do, like you said, is try to alienate other people. Because trust me, they do believe the sick and the poor and the elderly. And like you, I talked to an older guy on the train tonight. He's not even making, he's just babbling. He's scared. He's 65. I'm like, I got to fight for that guy. Because you know what? He can't do it. And you can say, oh, that's ageism. I'm just telling you from my take, that guy was not in condition to hit the streets and to do live streams. I'm doing that for, that's where I think we got to focus first, because I think that's where the fight is. That's where you can get people to agree. And then if you can keep them in your movement, that's great. Like, okay, but we have to get these movements together. And the challenge is so there, but this Real Progressives is so epic because we're all coming together to work together. I'm telling you, today I got emotional. I was like, man, I think we're finally moving the needle. You know what I'm saying? We're finally moving the needle. I honestly believe we have the technology, So again, yes, we can say Obama was bad and he bombed people, but you should hit the streets. Where were the protests? Where were people out on the streets? Don't tell me about how upset you are about what people are doing. Organize, like you said, be an activist, hit the street. If you're that upset, just don't post on Facebook. Show me the meeting you're going to. Tell me about that. Tell me what's the next movement we're going to do. I don't want to hear that, that kind of talk. Let's organize. And like I said, I call everybody out now on Facebook. I'm going to call you out. Oh, you complain? Run for office. Oh, you're upset about things the way they are? Tell me what you're doing. And that's the key to this. Now, again, I want to keep it light, but that was strange to me that the night before that I saw this video on these lynchings, and I'm like, people don't understand whether you already knew Obama was no good, and I already knew he was a product of history. That was Barack. Think of the name. Barack Hussein Obama was elected in the United States. So, yes, he didn't do everything you wanted to do. And we didn't, I think the sad part of the story is Bernie wasn't next. Bernie didn't get in next. And again, he wasn't involved, right? He didn't stand up and say, hey, DNC corruption. So maybe when he leaves office, maybe he can put some pressure. Maybe he can put some pressure on the DNC. Let's not give up. Let's not give up on him as our leverage. Because we do sort of need him to bring those two bridges together, right? The progressives and his people need to somehow come together and say, yeah, we got to push harder to get single payer, to get these, these drug coverages, these drug costs down some way. And there's no way, they have no argument about this. It's such a lie. There is no truth to the fact that drugs coming from Canada are going to kill people. There's no fake medicine epidemic in Canada. It doesn't exist. So that's just another way, like you said, that's how apologists, they'll say, oh, well, you got to be careful. There's going to be some fake. No, that's not true. It's not happening. Canada has a fine tracking system. Don't try to muddy the waters. And then they'll say, and then some people will say, well, Booker, he gets all his money from the pharma industry. What do you want him to do? I want him to stop taking money from the pharma industry. I want him to vote for sick people. Yeah. It's like, are you serious? I mean, like, do I seriously have to make that argument?
Yeah. Well, not to bring up Bernie, but he's such a template for a lot of what we're discussing. It's not about Bernie, but he's a great recent example. Because before we didn't have really an option to say, to respond to the issue of, well, what do you want him to do? Well, Bernie didn't have to do that. He figured out a way. What we are really dealing with is this universal, we see it in every aspect of political life. It's always been done that way. Well, you know what else has always been done that way? Racism and, hey, women not allowed to vote. And, I mean, all these things, not the $4 minimum wage, these things have always been done until someone changes the game and push forward. Accepting the status quo is a tumor of the political establishment. And so now we can say, because of this recent example of Bernie, you know what? What do you want Booker to do? Stop taking money from the pharmaceutical industry. You know why we don't want you to take money from the pharmaceutical industry? So that when somebody presents a non-status quo solution, like bringing medicine, inexpensive medicine that will make life so much easier for so many people, you don't just go vote no and start making up stuff. You go, let's keep the thing moving forward. I'll follow up on your ageism thing. You mentioned about this. You were getting emotional and you were talking about this older person. And Matt, your screen was breaking up a little bit, but you're back. You're fine now. You're fine now. But you're also not landscape, but that's fine. There you go. You're back now. We can see you loud and clear. But when I was in the DNC, I came across this older woman. I want to say she was in her 60s, and she was just this little older woman, short hair, and she was just standing. I was coming out of the park, outside of where the protests were at the gates, and I said, do you need anything? Can I assist you? Right outside this perimeter. For everyone who was in Philadelphia, you'll know what I'm talking about, where the cops were. And she said, well, no, I'm here. I'm waiting for my friends. I met them here. And so I said, well, I was with my friend. I said, if you don't mind, we'll wait for it. We'll wait with you. She's like, oh yeah, that's fine. I feel safe here. But so we started talking, and she told me her brief story, which was, why she was there. And she said, look, my mother recently died like 2 months ago, but I saw what was going on. And for the first time in my life, I saw what Bernie was doing. I felt there was something that I could be a part of. And she said, I don't expect this change to happen in my lifetime. She didn't have a car. She didn't have money to stay at a place in Philly. She just went. She was not wealthy. She was not middle income, but she said, my presence here will show the world, not me, us, that we can make a difference. But what she said so beautifully to me was that this will not happen in my lifetime. I don't think I will see this change in my lifetime, but by being here, I can help it make it happen for the future generation. That's beautiful. That's what we are all trying to do. And I don't need inexpensive medication, but other people do. That should be your guiding light, not me, us. Again, I hate to steal Bernie's phrase, but it's just a general idea of what this is about. It's not about us. That's why we got to bring these other people in from outside of our little circle and go, it's about all of us. And if they don't get that it's all of us, then we need to educate them. Again, not in a challenging, confrontational way, but in a giving way, because you are part of us. And ignoring all of us is much of the reason that Trump was the winner of this election. I didn't vote for him, but a lot of people said, you're the only one listening to us. I will vote for you. And all of us not listening to them contributed to that, either intentionally or indirectly. So we need, and Bernie will tell you this too, we need to listen to these people. The Democrats used to be the party of the people. They're no longer the party of the people. And all the people went, or a significant part of the people went for Trump.
And the other thing I agree so that's really basically you see the. So in that thing, you have to continue to grow with your information and spread your information and do it in the proper way. But I also would tell you, it is so important for you to pick up the phone. I called Menendez's office today and I got, hello, oh, well, yeah, thanks for calling. Okay, what's your zip? You could just tell this lady was exasperated, and like, sorry, people are dying. You're going to get a lot of phone calls. Get ready for it. So, and if someone gives you attitude on a phone, that's what you post on Facebook. I just called so-and-so's office and they gave me attitude. Could you please call too? Don't tell me about your dinner or that you have, that you have a headache, or post what you're doing on a day-to-day basis to help the movement. And try to keep your conversations with other groups in a challenging way. Don't let them say Hillbots or Trumpers or whatever. Try to, I wrote something on my wall just to see. I said, look, Trump and Sanders both agree the drug industry, which Trump can't say correctly, industry, they're both murdering people. So let's get on that same page. Let me get independents and Republicans that agree with Trump that the drug industry is murdering people.
Not to interrupt your flow, but it's funny you noticed that industry thing too, right? That he was saying it like Industry. I can't. It was so strange how he pronounced that word.
But look, I gotta end it here. I gotta go too.
Absolutely.
So
all right. So that's it.
Make sure you make those calls, people. Tomorrow, I'll tell you, I'm going to call everybody on those 13 Democrats. We'll get a phone call from me, and I'll report back to you guys tomorrow on each one.
Awesome.
That's my promise.
All right. Well, thank you, Matt, for your thoughts and opinions as always. We will let you go, and I'll do a couple of shout outs to our fans, but I will bid you a good night.
Good night, Curtis. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you, man. Have a great one. All right. We will end it here, but let me get some of your comments. I want to thank those who have watched. Dorcas Evans Miller commenting on Obama's speech, said it was an authentic speech. And Judith Holmes saying, hi, guys. Hi, Judith. And Dorcas, yeah, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. It was authentic. I won't say it was entirely representative. And so, but it did feel sincere. He gave beautiful tips of the hat to his wife and his children, to Biden, and of course to the American people, and rallied from an emotional perspective what needed to be done. Pookie Liana agrees, saying exceptional orator and keenly activated. She also is expressing what a lot of people in the activist movement is saying. She's passing on Booker. He has great orator skills, but won't float this go around. We're watching, but we also got to expand that circle. Michael Weiss is saying hi, Matt and Curtis from Austria, EU. Please continue to visit RP, support RP. Thank you for your support. We're always interested in hearing the perspectives of people from other countries, other cultures, because it really illuminates our perspectives. I have a keen eye on a lot of the Nordic countries. I know you're not in a Nordic country, but I see a lot of their social movements, and I'm just very impressed with what they're able to do in terms of their social programs. Sunday, referencing, I believe, Booker, but could be Obama, saying also a warmongering corporatist, probably a reference to Obama. Pookie mentions, that's right, polished presentation, much like Hillary, empty, no backbone. I believe that's a reference to Booker. We talked earlier about the dichotomy, the dynamic between presentation, which is what so many people base their votes on politically, whether it's a blurb in the paper or a little snippet on some interview or whatever, which ultimately has nothing to do with their legislative voting record. So we really need to go back to basics, which is, what the hell are you people doing? I don't give a damn what you're saying. What the hell are you doing? And if there's a conflict between what someone says and what someone does, we're going to call you out. Hashtag Hillary. All right? But it's not just limited to Hillary. Not just limited to Hillary. Steve mentions exactly what they do is most important. So mirroring that, thank you, Steve, for joining us. Gotta love that. 15, I believe the $15 minimum wage. Pookie making her presence known. Thank you so much. Yolanda Gonzalez says, we do preach a lot to the choir, but I do think we are reaching lots of people who weren't involved before. And I do agree. I think people who are there are a lot of people being activated, just like for a lot of people, Bernie activated them. It might have been Jill Stein. A lot of people were activated by Trump. Arguably, some people were activated by Hillary. I don't say that in a snarky way. Just a lot of evidence suggests that a lot of the people who supported Hillary were always sort of supporting Hillary. They were always there. Not really a lot of new activations, although we can assume from a statistical standpoint, she probably activated some people without question. But I think still people who are prone to being activated are within a smaller circle. We're not touching a lot of people that we need to help activate. They were not self-activated. We need to activate them. Let's see. Chai Sexton, again, apologize if I'm mispronouncing that, makes an interesting point. Beware of the rotating villain trick. The Democrats use it a lot. Absolutely. Arguably, the failure of the DNC, and I'm not a Democrat, I'm not a Republican, but arguably the failure of the DNC is that they campaigned against someone, never for someone. We never got a sense, yeah, Hillary, who are you? All we heard was Trump is this, Trump is bad, evil, Trump bad. Same thing they're doing with the whole Russian hacking thing. Boo, boo, Russia, focusing on who, against rather than what for, which is the contents that was revealed of all the things that the DNC did. That to me is misaligning the optics completely. So thank you, Chai, for that. And I'll just take a Chi. Thank you. It is Chi for those who were, thank you for the correction. And I will end here shortly. There's a lot of great comments here. I won't be able to get to them all, but I do want to thank everybody for participating, for joining, especially at this hour of the night. If you're on the East Coast, if you're somewhere else in the world, my good friend from EU, Austria, or on the West Coast, thank you for just showing up regardless of the time. So we will hopefully be able to speak with you guys tomorrow. Again, these are just Matt's thoughts. I'm here to facilitate them. Thank you so much. We'll catch you again. If you have the time to just share this video once, it would be huge if everybody shared it. If you could share it twice, by all means do that. Of course, if you can go to our Facebook page and donate in any way you can, whether it's financially, by sharing, by commenting, by watching some of the wonderful videos from Steve, from Tatsu and others. By all means, spread the word, stay active, stay motivated. We really do appreciate it. And if there's any questions or comments or anything else, by all means, place them in the spot below, and we'll hopefully be able to get to them. Also, if you're going to be in the DC area, we have Occupy Inauguration on the 19th, really, and the 20th and the 21st. We have events and speakers, marches, rallies, everything going on during those days. You can find out more about that on Facebook, at the Facebook group Occupy Inauguration, or the website occupyinauguration.org. And I'll post that information in the description of the video momentarily. But if you're in the DC area, coming here to rally against the inauguration, make your voices heard about the inauguration, whatever, you can join this coalition of diverse progressive groups coming together in a show of unity, in a show of force, saying that we are going to continue this revolution together. So thank you guys so much once again. Have a great night, and we will talk to you again soon. Ciao.